So it turns out I was totally wrong. Joe Biden did spend billions of dollars and multiple years running a re-election campaign just to drop out a few months before the election. And now we have the Kamala Harris arc, which is equally as perplexing. There appears to be, at the surface level, a lot of enthusiasm around Kamala Harris, and I'm not buying it. I do think a degree of it is astroturfed, but I think that there's legitimately some people excited about her. They're not really excited about her. They're just excited that it's not Joe Biden and that it's kind of like a crazy thing, because this is a crazy thing for Joe Biden just to drop out a few months before the election. I mean, like 90 days before the election, he drops out. That's wild. So I don't necessarily think people are excited about Kamala Harris. I think they're just excited that they have a chance at winning now. But at the end of the day, I think that the cringe of Kamala Harris is going to break out. I don't think they can hide her away forever until the election. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to successfully be able to hide her away and people are just going to hold their nose and vote for Kamala. But I just don't think she's going to be able to pull it off. I think she's going to have too many Kamala Harris moments, and that this honeymoon phase of Kamala Harris being exciting is just not going to last till November, but maybe I'm wrong. In most recent news, Kamala Harris announced her vice presidential pick as Tim Walz, which, I'll be honest, at the very surface level, when I saw it was Tim Walz, I didn't immediately recoil from cringe. When you look at most of the progressive style candidates, you just look at them and go, it's just an immediate like, oh, it's one of these. But I will say, at the very surface level, Tim Walz has like the dad look, the good old country boy vibe, kind of looks like a dad, relatively well-spoken. It's not an immediate, like, red flag for somebody like me. But then you look into his record and you're like, oh, he's the governor of Minnesota, the state that burned in 2020, where he didn't enforce the laws and just let people riot during the George Floyd shit and burn down all the small businesses. And those small businesses never came back. And now there's massive crime because the police are afraid to enforce the laws because they're afraid of mob justice, basically. So there's a lot of baggage with Tim Walz, which leads me to believe, what the fuck was this pick? This pick does not seem to help her in any way. Now, obviously, a lot of people say, oh, the vice presidential pick doesn't really matter, doesn't really move the needle. But it just seems like this is only going to hurt her, because there is a very clear line of attack for Republicans to take, in that Kamala Harris was the person who bailed out the rioters, literally on Twitter, fundraising money to bail out the rioters. And then Tim Walz was the governor who didn't enforce the laws and let his state burn in 2020. Epically. I mean, the footage coming out of Minnesota, it looks like a war zone back then. And people didn't forget that. It was wild. So it's just a bizarre pick, and it doesn't seem to help her. Are any of the people that are excited about Tim Walz not going to, like, were they going to go vote for Trump and now they saw that Tim Walz was the candidate? Like, I think all of these people were already going to vote for Kamala Harris. Trump's VP didn't really seem to have a tactical advantage, but it didn't seem to open him up to too many weaknesses. I mean, maybe cat ladies don't like JD Vance, but I don't think they liked Trump anyway. But this pick just really seems to open up Kamala Harris to a lot of very easy attacks. The 2020 riots are going to be something that the Republicans just hammer. Like, it's just such an easy layup for them to attack Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, like, doubly on this. Whereas if she would have picked somebody else, maybe they wouldn't have harped on this. But now that she picked Tim Walz, they're just going to hammer her on the tweets of her fundraising to bail out the rioters. I know it's probably not much of a surprise, but I'm a more conservative person. I'm not full-blown Daily Wire conservative. I'm not waiting until marriage to get my dick sucked. Sorry, Ben Shapiro. But I'm definitely not a Bernie bro. However, all of this Kamala Harris stuff makes me really question, where's everybody else? Most notably, where is Mark Kelly? In my opinion, Mark Kelly is by far the best candidate the Democrats have for VP, president, whatever it may be. Because as somebody from Southwest Virginia, I can look at a guy like Mark Kelly and his record. He's an astronaut. That's super cool. Navy combat pilot flying cool ass fucking planes, doing combat missions. That's cool. He can string together a sentence that's coherent. That's something that both Biden and Harris can't do. He's not extremely cringe. Like, he doesn't just start cackling or smiling weirdly. He seems to look the part. He also didn't have sex with a 60-year-old married man when he was 29 to further his political career. What I'm trying to say is that Mark Kelly is the kind of guy that people would vote for. As a more conservative person could be persuaded to vote for a guy like Mark Kelly because of all of his accolades, because he passes the vibe check, passes that initial smell test. People don't immediately recoil from cringe when they see Mark Kelly like they do with Kamala Harris. So it makes me wonder, where is he? Your average voter isn't voting based off policy. Even your more engaged voters aren't voting based off of policy. They're voting based on vibes and a few select issues. If Mark Kelly was to come out as the nominee for president, top of the ticket, and say, hey guys, I am the Democrat nominee, but I have a message to all of the Republicans out there. Number one, keep your guns. We're not coming after your guns. And number two, we are restricting the women's restroom to XX chromosomes. If he came out and said that, he would win in a landslide. He'd win all 50 states. We'd have every progressive policy all the Bernie bros dreamed of. We'd have Medicare for all. We'd have battery-powered oil refineries. It would be illegal to cut down a tree in the United States. I know I'm really glazing Mark Kelly, as the youth would say, but am I crazy? Doesn't he seem like their best talent right now? Like, it seems like a guy like him is genuinely the biggest threat to the Republicans. If I was a Republican, I would not want to run against a guy like Mark Kelly because he could convert a lot of people just off of his background alone. Astronaut, Navy combat pilot, can speak relatively well, looks the part, not extremely cringe at the surface level. I mean, damn, I wouldn't want to run against that. Compared to Kamala, I mean, Jesus Christ. So it makes me wonder, where is he? And the only thing I can think of is that the Democrats are effectively redshirting their freshmen. They don't want to waste eligibility years on their top talent on 2024. Kamala Harris is absolutely poison, and they do not want to tie their top talent to the anchor that is Kamala Harris. That is the only explanation I have. They can't get rid of Kamala because if they do, it's racist, and they don't want to waste their talent, their real talent, which is like, guys like Mark. There are other people that are more talented than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. It's just bizarre. Am I crazy? Because I'm not a lefty, but it just seems like there are a lot better options to go for, and it just seems like there are some heavy hitters sitting on the bench. Most notably, Mark Kelly. So if I had to make a prediction, I think you see Mark Kelly in 2028. I think they're effectively redshirting him. They don't want to, waste his, initial, first impression on the 2024 catastrophic failure that it's likely to be. Maybe I'm wrong. I know Kamala Harris in some of the polls, which the methodology behind these polls, a little suspect from what I've seen, but I know she's got, she's surging, but maybe that's the honeymoon. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kamala Harris comes out and wins. I'd be surprised. But I was wrong about Biden dropping out, so maybe I'll be wrong again. But doesn't it just seem fake? Doesn't all the enthusiasm around Kamala Harris just seem entirely fake? I just don't understand all these people that are all excited about her now. I don't think it's going to last till November, but there's only one way we're going to find out, and that's in November. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I don't know. It just seems like all the top talent is just sitting it out for 2024.